So here we go. But as she said, I'm a VP for BB&T. I'm their small business expert. My passion is to work with small businesses and help them achieve their goals. Most of what I do has absolutely nothing to do with my job description, but I live my life with an attitude of servitude. I'm here to help, and I truly live by the grace of God go I. That's why I'm here. But it's hard to tell you just a little bit about what I do. I work for BB&T, I'm a mom, I'm an athlete, I do all these different things. So, in starting my business and trying to tell people who I am and what I do, I wanted to kind of encompass that all in one specific way. So when people ask me what I do for a living, I tell them that I'm a professional superhero. Why are they calling? For real. I'm a professional superhero. But I'm not good with PowerPoint. So it encompasses all of those things. Think about it, as women, we do so much. We don't just do one or two things. I'm not just BB&T, I'm not just a mom, I'm so many different things. And what really makes a superhero? They embrace and they celebrate what's different about them. And that's what I do for myself. Now, I don't run around town with a onesie and a logo on, but I embrace what's different about myself, and I try to help as many people as I can, and that's what superheroes do. They do it selflessly, they do it to total strangers, and they share what's unique and different about them with the world. So usually, how superheroes get started, they have some sort of significant tragic event, and that's sort of what happened to me. 11 years ago, I was hit by a semi. I broke my neck and my back. Doctors told me that I would never walk. They told me that I would never have children. They told me all these things. In fact, the emergency room doctor, I remember him telling me, "Well, honey, I guess your kickboxing career is over." I said some non-ladylike things to that doctor. And I said, "No, you know what? Absolutely not. This is not how my story is going to end." So in the last 11 years, I've had 17 neck and back surgeries. And that's actually one of my last surgeries that I had. I have machines on my spinal cord, 2 machines, one at the very top of my neck and one in the middle of my back with wires, you can see, that run down my back to 2 batteries. The battery on this side basically controls from here up, and the battery on this side controls from here down. So I'm definitely the bionic woman, for sure. I have a remote that I use to turn him up, turn him down. And after that surgery, really my life changed. So those surgeries happened on 11/11/11, and I call that my bionic birthday. But it took me about 5 years of being in a wheelchair and saying, "God, why is this happening to me?" I was 27 years old, I was newly married, my life was fantastic. Why is this happening to me? And the more I fought it, the more he pushed me to my knees. And he pushed me to my knees. I used to pray him every day to please just let me die. I was diagnosed with PTSD, I had major depressive disorder, and I was extremely suicidal for years and years and years. And it got really bad. And it got to the point where I literally had to make the decision whether to live or die. And when that decision came, I wanted to live. And I wanted to fight, because I'm a fighter. Showtime. But that had to change. So how do you change that? How do you change the worst moment in your life and make it the best moment of your life? Well, you have to embrace it. And so what we did was I decided, so really what makes me happy, I love to have parties, themes, dress up, as you can tell by my superhero costume. We had a funeral, and we had a funeral for my old body. And I had all my friends come, and we told stories about crazy stuff that we did in my early 20s and before my body changed, and just really had some fun with it. And that was a pretty significant moment for me, because I wasn't sad anymore, I was embracing it. And that day, I became the bionic woman and a superhero, which is pretty cool. So fast forward to that, I've found so many different opportunities through what often people tell me, "Wow, that must have been the worst day of your life." Well, that day was pretty bad, but honestly, it was the best, worst thing that could have ever happened to me. It taught me to really look for the opportunities during the absolute worst moments of my life. shortly after my accident, the CEO of the company I was working for found out he was making some pretty bad decisions, and the company shut down. So in the hospital, I found out I no longer have a job. I no longer have any income, and I had almost $2 million worth of medical bills. How am I going to pay that? So, well, we start a job a business from my hospital bed, and helped run a business for almost 10 years. Doctors told me that I would never have children. I'm very happy to say that my son in February turned 4 years old. So what you think they know, they don't know, and your mindset and your attitude will take you as far as you want to go. But you have to embrace it, and you have to look for those opportunities. We were talking a little bit about, man, it really stinks. I had a flat tire this morning. But how do you know the person that stops to help you? That might be your next job opportunity, business connection, but you gotta embrace it and laugh about it and be open to that opportunity. That's really what's important. So, I went from being in a wheelchair to now I'm actually a competitive CrossFit athlete, a major league dragon boat racer, and actually I ran a marathon this morning. So, if you didn't really feel totally bad about your day so far, but really, what I'm here to do is to challenge you guys and challenge you to hear my story and just be self-aware enough when you're having that bad day, when you're in the pit of despair and you just think, man, I'm just not sure I can go anymore. That's when you want to stop and look around and look for those signs and look for the opportunity that's there. I was fortunate enough to meet the CEO of BB&T about 2 years ago, and he heard my story, and we've developed a great relationship. And last year, I've actually been trying to do this for a while. Last year, he invited me to an exclusive lunch with the most influential people at BB&T. I was so excited, and my gut said, this is going to be an amazing day. This is the day that your life is going to change. I just knew it. I knew it. So I went, had a wonderful lunch, wonderful conversation, and then all of a sudden I didn't feel very good. Like, really not good. And I started throwing up. I threw up in the CEO of BB&T's napkin. Now, this is the 7th largest bank. My boss was there, my boss's boss, and pretty much everybody that makes the money that I would like to see threw up in his napkin under the table, had to get up, walk out, got locked out. They finally let me in at the end of the meeting. I walk up to the front because all my stuff was up there. And he said, oh, there you are. I was looking for you. I was just about to recognize you in front of the whole company, but I looked down and you were gone. I said, oh, okay, well, maybe next time. I was devastated. I was so upset. And I left so defeated that day because I knew, man, this was the day. This was going to be life-changing. When I left the convention center, I kid you not, there was a silver soft-top convertible Nissan 350Z. It was the only car right out underneath the portiche. And that was the car that we were driving when we were hit by a semi. And that was back in 2007. So I get goosebumps even thinking about it now. What are the chances that that car would be there? That was God's way of giving me the sign to say, no, you're on the path, hang in there. You're a little embarrassed, a little shaken, maybe lost a couple pounds, not too bad. But, hang in there. The next day I sent him an email, thanked him for lunch, apologized, and just kind of shared with him, shared my why that's so important. And he said, I'm so blown away by your attitude and how you've handled this and how you've turned it into, an opportunity. And he said, we'll be back out next week with cameras and a film crew, and we're going to film another video and share it with the entire company. So while that was probably one of the most embarrassing days of my life, there's so much opportunity, but you have to be open to it and just not get distracted by the embarrassment or the bad things, or even anybody saying whatever they're going to say, So really, again, my challenge to you is just to really be self-aware, stop in that moment and look for those opportunities. Once you start to do that and you eliminate that negative self-talk, that's when the magical moments happen and things change. And this is a perfect, not just my story, but even today, is really such a perfect example of that. So I'm going to close with, if even cauliflower can somehow become pizza, because I love me some pizza, You, my friends, can do anything, because I totally agree with that. Cauliflower, well, pizza is good. If it can become pizza, you guys can do anything. So thank you so much for letting me speak.